Good morning. Well, this past week, we commemorated the 60th anniversary of the assassination of John F. Kennedy. And it's interesting because 60 years later, there are perhaps more questions today about really what happened than there have ever been. There are fewer and fewer of us who were alive when that assassination took place, but for those of us who were, it was a day we will never forget. It was a day that changed the course of America. Because prior to that assassination, there was great hope and optimism in the United States. But following that assassination, partially because of what took place and partially because of all the questions about the truth of what really happened, there was a great deal of cynicism, and it led to the rebellion of the 1960s that ultimately led to the pessimism and the apathy of the 1970s. And we find ourselves today in a war over truth. What is truth? Who can you trust that is the arbiter of truth, that is the author of truth? And it's ironic that at a time when people trust government less than they have ever trusted it, we tend to be handing over our arbitration of truth to the government in more ways than we have ever done before. We're trusting them with the arbitration of truth and morality, the arbitration of truth and the curriculum to our children, actually the arbitration of truth in science and mathematics. We're giving this institution that we don't trust at all, that we believe has lied to us in many ways, not the least of which was the Warren Commission. We're giving them the right to determine truth. Now, this isn't something new that has taken place, this question of what is truth. We can go back to the Bible and we can see that when Jesus was ready to be crucified, he came before Pontius Pilate. And in that moment, he said, "The reason I was born and came into the world is to testify to the truth. Everyone on the side of truth listens to me." And then Pilate said, "What is truth?" We can go all the way back to the book of Genesis, to the very first interaction with the snake and Eve in the garden. And he was undermining truth. He questioned the word of God. He questioned the motives of God. And ultimately, he questioned whether the pronounced judgment of God was true. And so from the very beginning, the greatest weapon that Satan has had is to undermine the author and the arbiter of truth. So mankind has searched for alternatives to truth. They look for institutions to be those arbiters of truth, like government, like universities, like organized religion. But we fail to go back to the original author of truth. And as a result, we have a world that is in great disarray. Because if everyone is determining what truth is, then no one is determining what truth is. Truth becomes a subjective concept as opposed to an objective reality. And so, in this day and age, when everything is being questioned, where do we go for truth? Well, the Apostle John was a man who really focused on truth. And it was interesting. I was thinking about him this week in the context of the Warren Commission and the Kennedy assassination. There are only two Secret Service agents that are alive today. And one of them said, "I am really afraid that when we both die, there will be no one left who will really know what happened, who will know the truth." And I thought that's probably what John was thinking about when he wrote his gospel and his letters. John was the last writer of the Bible, the last writer of the New Testament. He used the word truth or some derivative of it 60 times in his gospel and another 20 times in his 3 letters. He was obsessed with this need to make sure that when they were all gone, people would know the truth. And in fact, in John 8:32, he says, "And you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." So, in this day and age, when truth is such a subjective concept, I ask you to go back to the author of truth, to the word of truth, to the one who made all come into being. And in fact, what we learn in Romans 1:18-20 is this: the wrath of God is being revealed from heaven against all godlessness and wickedness of people who suppress the truth by their wickedness, since what may be known about God is plain to them, because God has made it plain to them. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power, his divine nature, have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse. May this be a day, may this be a week, when you seek and find the truth from the author of truth, Jehovah God. Have a great week.